There we go.
Awesome. Okay, great. Okay, firstly, welcome everyone. Thank you for supporting our industry forum. We do appreciate it. As you can see, I'm not currently in the office. I'm on a holiday drinking pina coladas, or so I wish. So thank you very much. We do appreciate your time. We know you've had a big day with students already. We had a little change of plan. Late yesterday, we got contacted by Kadogo Art House in Fremantle, who were supposed to be doing our visual arts, and saying that they could no longer participate. And we started thinking, okay, who can we use? And we're actually pretty stoked that we've been able to get this lady involved so late and so last minute. So I'd like to introduce you to Gabby Philippi. I've said that right? Okay. And Gabby is is the Senior Cultural Development Officer at the town of Bassendean. She's super passionate about visual arts and dealing with so many artists within her work. And she's got a lot of awesome stories and thoughts to share with you today. So please feel free, guys, to have a chat. This is informal. We want to be able to share some information, ask questions, so that you can get a better perspective about what's happening with visual arts in industry, in the real world, so you can bring it back to your students. So Gabby, thank you so much for coming in and having a chat with us today.
You're welcome, thanks.
I've got a couple of questions that I'm going to start you off, because I'm always really interested into how people have got there, and your position is very heavily focused on visual art. So can you tell us how you got to where you are today in your position?
I can. I did a Bachelor of Arts in Arts Management at the WA Academy of Performing Arts. That was a really vocational course, and that was business and admin skills targeted at the arts and not-for-profit industry. So everything from performing arts to visual arts to community arts, the whole sort of gamut. So I started my career in independent cinema at Cinema Paradiso, and then West Australian Ballet, and another small arts company called Buzz Dance Theatre, and then I moved into local government because I wanted to, the not-for-profit environment is fantastic, but you work so hard and it can kind of wear you down, and I wanted to have a bit of a change, and local government afforded slightly more secure budgets than working for funded organisations or working on projects where you were kind of going for grant funding. And prior to uni, I had worked on sort of short film and art projects and stuff myself, so I knew that side of it very well. But in community arts, it's much more of a grassroots. It's real entry level stuff, which is something that I really like, because there is that transition from, and I've been there myself because I did a degree straight out of school, a media degree, and didn't know what to do with it afterwards, and then went back to uni to do something more vocational. But it's really difficult to kind of have those transitional steps, and in the last sort of 15, 20 years, local government has stepped in and has a lot more opportunities, and I think a lot of people still aren't aware, but for example with us and with a lot of local governments, there's funding available for projects, and the town of Bassendean is a very small community, and I also live there, so I know a lot of the creatives, and people can pick up the phone and go, I've got this idea for a project, and as a local government, because we want to build a sense of community and connection and foster creativity, we're in a position to either support with funding or with facilities in an in-kind capacity, put people, connect people together, and they're great sort of stepping stones, I think, for people to kind of test themselves out and then build a bit of a track record before you start to go for big funding, or whilst it depends what pathway, obviously, but particularly in visual arts, it's a really hard, it's like a big gap, I think, between studying and trying to earn income as an artist. So it's a space where local government can actually provide a bit of support, and there's a lot less hoops to jump through than more formal arts funding that's available.
Because I didn't realise that you could get funding for different things on that local level.
No.
I guess I'm curious, what sort of projects do you get asked for? What things do people want money for?
art projects. So we've sponsored murals, which are great because, you know, then everyone can see them. I had someone approach me who had staged an historical exhibition with a strong visual art component of someone that had lived in our locality like 100 years ago, and he was actually but he wasn't a photographer, he was a war artist. So they had work of his that they wanted to showcase. So because the council looks at it in terms of that support, that's showcasing local history and heritage, that's an opportunity for us then to help provide some resources. So it might be some money toward hiring a space to exhibit, or helping with framing costs or marketing costs, and then also in my role I can help support and provide sort of in-kind marketing and market through the town's mechanisms, which are, we have social media channels, we have a bi-monthly newsletter, we have a website, you know, things like that.
Yeah, because I know we had a quick chat yesterday and we were talking about a lot of people that do visual arts. It's a passion, it's something that they love to do, whether it be painting or whatever it might be. And often it's not something that involves a full-time role. So students, even now that are in school, if they have a beautiful project that they would like to do, they could then possibly talk to their local council.
They could. Another really good avenue for people starting out in their art career is pretty much every local government that I'm aware of has an annual Visual Art Awards, and they're another good really stepping stone mechanism, because it's all about... Sorry?
That's okay. I think it was just Paul.
Okay. So it's... Mute! So it's all about... I love the Visual Art Awards because there's, for ours, there's a $22 entry fee, and all you as an artist have to do is make that commitment. You make that decision, I'm going to submit something. And there's criteria like size and all that kind of stuff, but it's quite general in terms of what medium to present in, because people work in all sorts of medium these days.
Yeah.
And then it's a case of, it kind of forces people to, once they've made that commitment, to meet a deadline.
Yeah.
In terms of getting a registration form in, and then having an artwork completed by a certain date. And we've had once or twice, we've had some people that suffer from extreme anxiety and they don't even drop off their artwork. They get someone else to do it for them, but they still want to take that step. And that means their work can be seen. The work can potentially win a prize, you know, because there's prize money available, and it can potentially be sold. So it is, I always look at it as it's that stepping stone from taking it out of your bedroom or your back room and, you know, holding your breath, taking a bit of a jump and starting to put it out there. And it's amazing what that kind of feedback can do for someone in terms of making them feel supported and encouraged and willing to give it another go.
Oh, wow.
You know, but it's quite a gentle environment. Whereas if you want to go straight to a gallery environment, you know, it's a lot more rigid, and it's professional in a different level, and that's a big leap. It can be daunting, whereas this is just nice, gentle ways of doing it. So I think grassroots things like that are beautiful, especially for younger people. Like we're talking high school students. You know, confidence-wise, it's because it's scary. It's scary to share your work, whatever artwork that you do. And we've had some incredibly talented young people. So we don't have a high school in Bassendean, but we have Governor Stirling Senior High. So I work with the art teacher there to try and get some of their work showcased, because a lot of the students from our area go to that school, and they've got a huge, amazing art program. So it's just about showcasing. It's just about giving people an opportunity to shine a light on the different talents that are out there. And it's amazing how good people can feel by seeing their work up on display, and it's not just their mum and their dad and their gran telling them that it's really good.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, that's awesome.
It goes a long way.
Yeah. So I guess it sounds like things were going well pre-COVID. So you talking about some good exhibitions that you're running. Tell us about the exhibition that you've run.
So we have the Bassendean Visual Art Awards. It's an annual exhibition. Last year we had about 130 entries, which for us is huge, because we're only a population of 16,000 people. So we get lots of people outside of Bassendean. We have 6 local primary schools, and they all submit 10 works. And then we had the high school student, the art student works, which were great. Some of them were video and some of them were 2-dimensional hung works, and it was an amazing variety. And there's prize money available. You know, there's, for the main award is $5,000. So that's pretty huge. And then, you know, there's the people can, like the community can vote for a People's Choice Award. We have an opening night, so it gives everyone an opportunity as the artist to come along to your opening night. So it makes them feel special and regarded and appreciated. And I think things like that are really important, because I'm really big on how does it make them feel, because if they feel good, chances are they're going to give it another go in whatever way they go. So that's an annual event. However, this year, unfortunately, due to COVID and the impact that that's had on budgets in local government as well as many other industries, we are not able to run the exhibition, but also because at the time, because there's a good 6 month worth of planning on that one, we didn't know what social restrictions, social distancing restrictions were going to be in place, and you don't want to spend all that money setting up an exhibition because we don't have a dedicated gallery space, and then that be wasted. So I'm looking at trying to do some things online to still at least showcase, some of the amazing talent in our area. And it's kind of nowhere near what we would normally like to do, but we're like everyone, we're just trying to make the best of a challenging situation.
Continuing with challenging and COVID, what other impacts has it had on your role when dealing with this area?
I guess, yeah, it has. It's had an impact on a lot of people, because at the end of the day, I'm working in an organisation that has lots of areas of responsibility, and it's kind of it, and some others, not just mine, but when you're kind of coming down to essentials, you have to prioritise where money does and doesn't go. And so my department has to take a little bit of a backseat for a while, but we're looking at it in terms of, okay, so we can't do this, and we're just going to start to do some planning for when things do improve for my area. And I'm only part-time, and we have a part-time events officer, so we're a very small team. But what we can do, and also, what can we do differently? I think that being forced to take a lot of things online, especially from an organisation's perspective, it makes you look at how can we do things differently. So, for example, if I had the art exhibition, I might have organised an artist talk. So can I video an artist talk and do it online? Or can I have a Zoom artist talk and we record it and then we put it up online later? So it opens a lot of doors for people to have access that perhaps would not have done so, or for people that perhaps think, I'm not sure about art, I don't know if it's for me, but whereas if they come across it on a website, it's not so intimidating and they won't feel judged or uncomfortable, and they might go, oh, that guy's my neighbour, he lives down the road, I didn't know he was an award-winning sculptor, things like that. So we, like everyone, we're trying to look for the positives. And now that I've adjusted, I did have a few days where I was really struggling, going, I was just very disappointed, but no one expected a global pandemic, and I have to keep coming back to that. But it is tricky, in terms of what opportunities that's going to mean for the next 12 plus months.
So what have you seen in regards to the artists themselves? What are they doing now? How are they selling or promoting themselves now that's different?
Some of the artists that I know that work through galleries just a lot of people have everything's just been taken off the table. So things that were planned, anything that I think was planned before October has pretty much been taken off the table. I have to say, I think that we all thought that these restrictions that we're in would have lasted longer. So the fact that we've had this easing of restrictions, I think a lot more readily, maybe things will come back up more quickly. But when you're dealing with any kind of arts organisation, and if it's impacted on their income, it's then impacted on what they can spend in terms of their budget, where does it leave opportunities for participation? So I don't know where galleries are sitting at the moment. I know that most local governments are not going to run their annual art awards this year, which I think is a real shame. So that's why I'm really trying and showcase some stuff on our website. So at least we're showcasing something. I've seen a lot of my local government peers, like one council has a lot of murals, so they got permission from the artists and they've turned them into colouring in pages that kids could do at home. So, and then that's also paying the artist a fee, so there's still a modest amount of income, but it also keeps the visibility of the artworks, and so they're showing and showcasing on social media a lot. I mean, I have had friends who have just lost work. That's all there is to it, and there's nothing much to be done, and they've gone on job seeker.
Yeah. I've found a lot of and talking to others that you know, as much as COVID was horrible, there was new opportunities with the online, and in some cases the online side has worked really well,
Yeah.
because you can promote yourself or, you know, your art that way. So I guess that there have been some opportunities. I guess our focus with kids within the school system is that we want to empower them to have the basic skills to be able to go out and approach you or approach somebody or sell themselves or their art.
Yep.
So what skills do you see as really important that we need to reiterate to our students?
I think, I mean, it's a confidence thing, really. I think that social media is their friend. The amount of people that I've gone to look for their Instagram account to get a bit more of an idea of what their work looks like is amazing. When we have our art awards, often people are saying, have they got a website, or have they got, you know, a Facebook page, or now, you know, the last couple of years it's been Instagram, because people then want to go and explore further, because what you find is if they like a certain person's artwork, they want to, you know, if it's within a reasonable price point, they'll want to buy it again. And that's a really democratic way of doing it as well, because it just means you're going straight to the source. And then whether it's a young person, a professional person, it's actually really easy to set that kind of stuff up these days. And it's a huge confidence boost. And I think for young people, anything that is a confidence boost for them is really valuable. So, and they're all across the social media. So if they can convince themselves, or someone can convince them that their work is good, and they can start to showcase some of their stuff visually. Because if you're, say, for example, on Instagram, anyone anywhere in the world can see it. And if you've got a website or something, and websites are easy and cheap to set up these days as well, or selling on Etsy, you know, people can purchase really easily. And even if you only sell 3 things, then you only sell 3 things, you know. Or maybe if they want to sell work, you know, take a stall at a market. Something that I've been wanting to do, our monthly markets are cancelled at the moment, was for the town to each month have a stall and me put out an expression of interest to local artists. Do you want to come and try and see what it's like to sell at a market? We'll pay for it, we'll organise it. All you have to do is have a certain amount of work, have some pricing in place, you know, just the basics for them to sort of start to build a sense of autonomy. But realise, and then test the waters. Is this a way that you might like? Because there's so many art markets around in general. There's the Perth Art Market, there's Made on the Left, there's Etsy when they do their markets. There's so many, lots of community markets. So that's another way of getting your work out there and selling it. So again, it's just an opportunity for them to test the waters and see how they go, and do it as a little group. They don't have to do it as individuals. I think also with visual arts, it's a very individual experience. And I think, you know, if there's a couple of friends and they can either, whether they want to do something together or do something as a little group, that's another way of not being so exposed. And those things aren't expensive. Like to hire a market stall, I think for the town of Bassendean, it's either $30 or $50. And if they all pitch in and they sell one thing, they can pay for it. So they're big steps for a lot of people, and I fully acknowledge that. But they're really good stepping stones, I think, rather than going, what do I do? Do I go to a gallery? But I don't, you know, I'm not ready for that. And about building that professional confidence before, you know, and then also seeing, am I liking this? Do I want to do something a little bit different? You know, there's a
and I guess it goes back to those fundamental skills, isn't it? Those employability skills where they're able to be confident enough to communicate. They've got good body language. And then what you were saying about filling out a form, you know, being able to fill out a form. I know a lot of kids go, man, don't need that. But you actually do. You need to be able to write out a document and do it correctly. So those skills are important.
And committing to it, I think. And that's the thing. You fill out a form and you have to have it in by a deadline. And then you've done that, and then you have to have your artwork in by a deadline. So it's committing to deadlines, committing to a decision that you've made, which you've essentially made for yourself, and seeing it through. And it's as gentle an experience as you're going to get in those kind of things, because if you start applying for jobs to work in workplaces and stuff, that's a lot more intimidating. So these are sort of nice, gentle things, I think.
So where can students and teachers, for that matter, find out about what's on offer, grants or exhibitions to be a part of, you know, things like that?
go to the local government website, most of them have an arts and culture tab.
Right.
The big ones definitely do. I mean, Town of
Yeah.
Bassendean does as well. Most, and I know this because I'm in a sort of a network with a lot of my peer officers. Most of them have funding opportunities available. So even if it's a young person and they think, I want to apply for this and I want to set up an exhibition, but they don't want to do it on their own, do it with a couple of mates, you know, the three of you, because if that came to me, excuse me, and they were like, there's criteria, for example, being a local resident and stuff, I would say, wow, these guys have got initiative. They want to organise something, because we want to empower people to develop. Professional development of our local creatives is a really core part of what we're trying to do in my area. So I would immediately just go, that's really awesome. How can we support them? Grant applications can be intimidating, and I always try and say to people, call me, I'll talk you through it. They're not as bad as you think, you know. But again, that's another really big skill to develop, because if you're going to pursue an artistic career, even if it's only going to manage to be sort of a part income, there's still going to be, unless you purely go down a commercial route in terms of getting your stuff in shops and selling it that way, but you are always kind of going to be in a position of possibly seeking some kind of support or funding. Outrage was another good mechanism back when I was doing this kind of stuff. I remember staging an exhibition with a friend of mine. We applied for funding and stuff like that, and they supported us with a venue and publicity and, you know, blah, blah, blah. So, I mean, you know, that was just kids kicking around. That's what we did. So those mechanisms are available. So I would encourage people to have a look. Maybe as teachers, perhaps look at the council that your school and the majority of your students are in, and have a bit of a look. And the good thing about a council website is you can have a look at it, and you can look at the forms, and they can kind of go, I don't know, and you go, that's okay, but, you know, come back to it, don't be afraid. And often it'll say, you know, call blah blah blah, you know, and we're more than happy to talk you through it, keep you off the ledge, keep you comfortable, and but, you know, because it's daunting. I remember the first grant application I looked at, I thought, oh God, you know, but when you're getting public money, you are accountable. But it's again, it's good experience, and you do it, and you get the funding, and you're on top of the world. And that's what, you know, we've got people put money aside for these very things. So it's not like people don't want to give you money; they do want to give you money. You just kind of got to step up to the plate, and there's people to help you get there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Whether you're a student or someone who's older. You know, I think it's important to convey that. I think a lot of people don't realise that in local government there's that opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just a good stepping stone, that's all. And then you can kind of, and then when you want to approach someone else, you kind of go, I've done that a couple of times, I know what that's like. So, you know, you've got a little bit under your belt, which I think, again, it comes back to that confidence building, capacity building.
Definitely. So I'm just thinking, say, for next year, depending on what happens with COVID and whatnot, can you see more exhibitions and visual art sort of things happening more online down the track?
My hunch is yes. I'm not 100% sure, because I think that there's also going to be lots of so, for example, when I do the art awards, I hire in display boards and lighting, and, you know, there's a team that come in and set all of that kind of stuff up, and they're fantastic. For example, they do a lot of school exhibitions. Businesses like that, I think they'll be okay, but some of those businesses won't be in business next year because they won't have survived this. So I don't know where that will leave the industry, and that's when I think, well, at least if you do it online, because I've had to research how we can do an online gallery, and it's young people all over that stuff. They can do that in there, you know, with one eye shut and scrolling through Spotify at the same time. So, you know, it's a doddle for them. So I would challenge them to go, okay, 5 of you select half a dozen artworks. I want you to set up a temporary gallery website and see what they can come up with. And they've got to title their work, they've got to put a price on it, and they've got to do, like, you know, a paragraph artist bio, because it's those kind of things that they're going to have to do constantly when they're out there. Whether they're pitching for stuff. I mean, another thing that we do is we put out expressions of interest. So if they're interested in seeing what opportunities there are, keep an eye on the websites or the Facebook pages of whether it's a local government or it's an organization or a gallery space or whatever, you know, sort of most of them have newsletters, sign up for their newsletters and stuff. And then we'll see. But yeah, I think that people will want to get back into the face-to-face stuff because there's nothing like seeing a piece of art. But again, if you're online, people can access you from anywhere. So you can be selling your stuff in Europe and, you know, it sounds really good. Could just be your auntie in Germany, but it doesn't matter. It sounds really good. And it's those kind of things that build confidence.
Absolutely, absolutely.
A sale's a sale. I don't care who buys me.
Absolutely. So from the whole, I guess the industry as a whole, from you looking at it, and you're right in it, so you see and hear all the things, what's your forecast for the industry? Will it recover?
Yeah, because people that make art need to make art, and they'll just find another way. It's a tough road at the moment. I mean, I've got friends who have day jobs and do their art at night time. And I've got a couple of friends who are, I guess, full-time artists as such, but they run workshops and things like that. So I think that I don't think anyone's going to want to do away with the life that we've had, but where it was meager before, it's going to be even tougher, but people will always continue to make art. And I really believe that as community comes out of this, community recovery, a big part of community recovery is art, because I think art is what got us through this, in terms of the music we listened to, the books we read, the programming that we streamed, and the things that we looked at. So there will always be a place for it, but it might just be a little bit reshaped. But, you know, I believe in silver linings. I think that can be a good thing. And if you can come out of this intact, you can withstand, you know, because the life of an artist is not an easy one. You know, we're not in a city that has a lot of opportunities for consistent income. So I think encourage people to look for opportunities, not be afraid to ask people if they can tag along and help and learn from them, you know, and volunteering and stuff. You know, when I do my art awards, I have some event casuals and I have some volunteers that help. They get experience of how to hang an exhibition, you know, things like that.
So other than local government or within your department of where you do, where else could they try and get some volunteering experience?
I think the annual Art Rage Festival is a good one for that, because they have everything from performance to visual art and things like that. I volunteered when I was at uni. I volunteered at the Fremantle Arts Centre. I used to sit and man exhibitions, which was kind of fun, quiet but fun. There's lots of, like, up my way in the eastern suburbs, there's the Mundaring Arts Centre, there's the Ellenbrook Arts Centre. There's a lot of those kind of again, depending on what's in your area, you know, I would encourage people to sort of say, hey, you know, I'll come in once a week, can I come in and help out? And most of those organisations would fall over themselves to say thank you. I know there's Cadogo and there's Fremantle Arts Centre, and I'm just trying to think what's more central. I know the Art Gallery of Agua, Art Gallery of WA have volunteers, but I don't know how involved the process is. I'm pretty sure they're open or opening. So anything that helps build your skills.
Yeah, and
really,
isn't it again? It's all about networking and finding contacts.
Every time I have a volunteer that helps on an exhibition, there's usually some older adults that are there as well, and then they thank you. Someone's just said Pika. Yes, brilliant. I forgot about Pika. In my head I was in the cultural centre going, what's there? Clearly I haven't been out for a while, but usually there's been a younger person and someone with more experience, and then the conversations that they can have, and sort of you'll often get someone saying, you know, it puts someone on an even playing field, and that can be really encouraging and supportive. And then that's when someone might say, hey, have you thought of this, or have you thought of that? So I think the more confidence they can get to be around other people that have the same kind of interest, you know, we've had sort of art groups. A lot of areas have their own sort of little art collectives or groups. Yeah. They're good things to get involved in, but I just think encourage them to just do stuff, whether it's stuff through school or in their own time. Just do stuff and find avenues to showcase it.
Yeah,
I would
100%.
suggest. Yeah.
Now, before we sort of start finishing up, I'm just going to throw it over to the teachers. I'm not going to ask you to speak, but now's the time. If you have any questions that you guys would like me to ask, or you'd like to ask yourself to Gabby, please do so. Just for the record, I'm not from a visual arts background, but Gabby and I were speaking about, I did the tourism one yesterday, which is my background. And we were talking about how visual arts is sort of the little sister that everybody's forgotten about, who's taken a hit. You know, everybody knows tourism's taken a hit, but visual arts has as well. But it's been really interesting learning about how it works in your area. So, yeah, teachers, if you've got anything that you'd like to know more about for Gabby, please pop your question in or just ask now. But one thing I always try and, you know, when it gets closer to finishing up, you know, students are our focus. You know, teachers, you know, most teachers that I've met, they deliver that because they also love it. In most cases, sometimes, you know, they have got their own small business so that they've got that connection, and some of them don't. So I guess if you were going to give some advice for teachers to go, this is what you need to make sure your kids know or do or whatever, what would you say?
I think the main one is confidence to give it a go, which I think every artist needs. And that's basically why I did arts management, because they were all my artist friends, and I was never going to go down that path because I didn't have the talent to sustain it, which is not a woe is me. It's good. It is, you know, it is what it is. But being that next person to help kind of cheerlead them when they're just not sure, or it's not going the way they want, even though you go, it's brilliant, what are you talking about? It's not what they wanted to do. So I think encouragement and helping build confidence and reinforcing the value in what they're doing. And, you know, art still has value even if it doesn't sell and you don't make money out of it. It's still incredibly important, because getting people to express themselves is really integral. So I think encouraging them to keep working, but to also get connected with other people, whether it's through volunteering or participating in group shows or exhibitions or projects or workshops or whatever it is that they want to do. I think that helps keep some perspective for people as well.
Yeah. And I guess sometimes, you know, yeah, absolutely. And because kids need to, you know, when, yeah, I've got a teenager, everything's about what other people think of them. And it's about learning about judgment and going, it doesn't matter. It's like that. You don't need to feel like you're getting judged by others. You put it out there, and if it doesn't work, don't have any expectations with it. Just put it out there. You've got nothing to lose, instead of not putting it out there and then feeling like you're not sharing what you love.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. I've got a friend who's an artist, a very wonderful visual artist, and works in the area of sculpture. And when I say to him, is it, you know, how do you feel seeing it, you know, exhibited or whatever, and he says, it doesn't matter to me anymore. I wanted to solve a problem, and that's where I created the work, and that's done. Mm-hmm. So, which I find fascinating, you know, because I think, how can you not be all worked up about people looking at your work, judging it? He's like, no, I set out to solve a problem. That was my mission. So I guess reinforcing value in whatever part is important to that person, because it's, you know, it can be any part of the process. Some people just like the act of sitting there and drawing. Some people like the act of showing. Some people like the act of thinking, you know. It's all little micro steps.
So it's not about the end result.
You know, I think, I just saw someone's put your question about should they be more connected with the visual arts community. I think if you can in any way, it'd be really good. You know, but teachers are really busy as well. I get that. But, you know, even if you can just put it out to the kids and go, here's an opportunity.
Yeah, absolutely.
And some will take it up and some won't, but at least you're providing it to them.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, we haven't got any more questions that have popped through just yet. Definitely, yeah. So Shell was just saying it's definitely the joy.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's hard to teach. I wouldn't know, but it would be hard to teach, I would imagine, in a high school environment where everything is so heavily about what other people think of you, whereas art's the complete opposite. It's what you think of yourself, and this is it, and it's beautiful, and I love it, and I'm going to put it out there, and stuff what anybody thinks about
Yep.
it.
Yep.
It's pretty amazing. But thank you for sharing all those opportunities and different places that you could go for these young kids to be able to go to and maybe seek some funding. Or
get out and see stuff. Get them to get out and see stuff. Like I know that Pika have student exhibitions, AGWA have their, is it Hatched at AGWA? I can't remember. All that kind of stuff. Encourage them. It's the graduate show. Get them to go and see stuff. And I think that it'll help give them perspective on where they sit and where their imaginations are going, and where just seeing what other people are doing and kind of going, oh yeah, I'm not, my stuff's not that weird, or my thoughts aren't that weird, or if they are weird, it's really good too. But I guess, seeing the outside world, not just focusing inwardly.
Oh, you know what I think?
There you go. Perspectives at AGWA. Thank you, Alicia. Oh, here we go. Here we've got a teacher who's onto it. Hatched is at Pika. Yeah, you're right. Thank you.
I'd be interested for the teachers actually to know, if we could put a couple of minute video together with Gabby where she's talking about, these opportunities and what to think and how to put it out there, do you think that would be beneficial to then show your students within school? I'm just going to throw that out there to the teachers because for me, it's all about inspiring the students. And I don't know if it's like you, but when I say it to my students, they don't listen, but somebody else will say it and they'll listen. So it's all about getting guest speakers. It'd be great to, I think, to get you involved, to have a little chat, and maybe something that we could show students about, hey, what have you got to lose? This is what can be offered, and, give it a go. So if teachers have got feedback on that, please, that's good. It's always nice having an expert. And that's what I'm thinking, Alicia, is, we've got somebody that is at the grassroots level that deals with funding, that deals with how to fill out these grants, that has this knowledge and has this passion to inspire. Gabby, would you be interested if we did that?
Of course. I think actually helping students looking at grant applications would be a really good thing, because I would have been, end of uni the first time, so at least 20 when I looked at my first grant application, I probably wanted to vomit and just went, I can't possibly do this, because it's incredibly daunting. And if you're dealing with people who are, I'm going to say lacking in confidence, but you're not confident in that environment, you'll just go, oh, too hard, I'm just going to retreat to my comfort zone, which we all do. And it's kind of like, it is a hurdle. It's not as scary a hurdle. And once you get on the other side, you'll be so glad that you did it. It's very empowering. And the more that we can empower people and build their confidence, the more chances there are that they're going to try more and not give up so easily. Because that's the hardest thing for artists, is that, the existence is hard, and giving it up or packing it up or not being encouraged. And it's a perfectly valid existence to have a day job and still do your art. You can't spend as much time on it as you want, but at least you will have a comfortable existence, but you are still being true to who you are.
Yeah.
A lot of our great artists had day jobs and continue to.
Because I've noticed now that quite a few of the teachers have commented now about what a great idea would be to get you on board and have a chat to the students and, get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
And I saw Alicia's just said exhibition proposals and grant applications are the hardest.
Yes.
So maybe we could do something like that.
Of course.
Yeah,
of course.
Awesome. Well, that's so good. Well, I'm not sure if any other teachers want to unmute and have a quick question or anything before we go.
Yeah, everyone's a black box hiding. Very sneaky on an afternoon.
I know. That's okay. I'll put it out there and say unmute if you'd like to have a chat. If you're quite happy, then no problems.
Of course.
But firstly, I would like to say a massive thank you to you, Gabby, because not only did you come in last minute with very little preparation of what we were going to do, but you've absolutely been so interesting to listen to and fascinating. So really
thanks.
Appreciate it.
Oh, you're so welcome.
And to the teachers, thank you for signing up. When we get industry people in, they don't have to do it, and sometimes they don't see the value talking to schools. So the more we can support these types of things that Skills are organising, the better, because it means that we can get these amazing speakers in and more involved. So we do appreciate you as teachers spending time at 4:46 talking to us. So I'm going to finish up because we've sort of out of time. But thank you all. Thanks again, Gabby. And, we hope you get something out of it. We'll make sure you guys get access to the video again, and we will let you know what we can organise for Gabby later and send it out to our teachers as well to use in the classroom. So thanks, everyone. Have a great night.
I'm just sending a final message to everyone. Well done, teachers. You're amazing.
Oh, that's
Thank you.
Well done.
They're looking after our kids.
I know they are. They do an amazing job.
Yeah.
They really do.
I wouldn't do it. Hats off.
I feel terrible. But thanks, guys. And if you
take care, everyone.
had enough, we'll see you later.